Hello and welcome to my series of conversations with stalwarts of music. Today's episode is being partnered by Perpetual Buzz Experiences, which is an artist representation company with three very basic but lofty goals. They're the launchpad for a lot of artists and indie musicians in general, helping them leverage success in the best possible manner. And they also help generate funding for social causes and make sure the process is smooth. Do check them out on www.perpetualbuzz.com. And we have yet another podcast partner, which is Wire Up Music Store, one of the finest music retail stores with state-of-art equipment, ranging from guitars to ukulele, classical to percussive instruments. Do check them out on their Instagram handle @wireup.india. And if you happen to be in Bangalore, do check out their store in Koramangala. This is a very special episode indeed. Firstly, I'd like to wish you all a very happy Diwali. And on this lovely occasion, I am delighted to welcome my guest, who's Mindi Abair, who's cultivated her unique style of music, which is built on her foundation, which has a lot of integrity and authenticity. I'm sure a lot of aspiring instrumentalists have a lot to study and learn from Mindy's honest personal expression. She has one of the most successful careers both as a session artist as well as a recording artist. She dons several hats ranging from being a radio host, a podcaster, an author, a multi-instrumentalist, a singer, and a national trustee at the prestigious Recording Academy of Arts and Science. This is the institution that puts together the popular Grammy Awards that all of us see. She's also been on Adam Sandler's HBO special, What's Your Name? She's been on the David Letterman show and on the reality show American Idol on several occasions. She's collaborated with some noteworthy artists like Aerosmith, Booker T. Jones, Joe Bonamassa, Dave Koz, and many more. Without any further ado, I'm delighted to welcome my guest for today, Mindi Abair, who will be joining us shortly. Hi, Mindi, how are you? Which part of the world are you in right now?
I'm doing great. I'm in Los Angeles, in
Mhm.
Hollywood, actually, at home,
Okay.
which I think I'm here about 6 days until the end of the year. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we got a great tour schedule. So I'm chilling for a minute here.
Lovely, lovely. It's Diwali here in India, Festival of Lights, and we've got people in the neighborhood bursting firecrackers. So don't be surprised if you hear something.
I think that's awesome. I wish I was there with you, the
Right, right.
celebration.
Yeah, it's a great, a lot of great festivity happening around here.
Yeah, amazing. Well,
Let's get.
congratulations.
Thank you for
You might
that.
hear some stuff around here, but it's just Hollywood. It's
Right.
helicopters and
Yeah, I think I just heard a race
sirens and
car.
stuff like that. It's not
Yeah,
a celebration.
right, right, right. So let's get started with our agenda for today. I have a couple of interesting questions coming your way.
Okay.
How old were you when your parents realized that they had an exceptionally talented child upon their hands?
I love that you say it like that. That's awesome. Um, you know, I can't answer that question. I'm not them. But I think I did like to make noise.
Mhm.
And at a certain point, they probably put me in music classes because they wanted just the banging on the piano to stop, or me going up to my dad's saxophone going, "Hey, what's this?" So yeah, I started piano when I was 5. But I had grown up on the road with my dad's band from the time I was born. They basically, took me from the hospital into the band truck. And so all my childhood pictures are in the back of a car or a band truck or a hotel, something like that.
Mhm.
But it was a cool way to grow up. And I think,
Yeah,
all of us were so into music. It was meant to be.
I'm sure. Especially what fascinates me is the fact that you went in for an instrument like the saxophone back in the day, which was a rarity. And you went in for something that is very masculine in form in terms of an instrument. What was the impulse behind this?
You know what? No one told me it was masculine.
Right.
No one told me it was odd
Yeah.
for a girl to play a saxophone until it was too late. And I was already into it and I thought it was super cool. I had watched my dad on stage and he was the saxophonist and B3 organ player in this blue-eyed soul band called the Entertainers. And they were so fun to watch on stage. And from my
Mhm.
earliest memories, he was the guy, just rocking and rolling and playing his sax and, shaking and shimmying and it was super fun. So when I was, uh, charged with what would I want to play, I wanted to have that much fun. And so I chose saxophone and I never looked back. It is an amazing instrument. It's like an extension of my voice. And I chose well.
Wonderful. It must be very challenging to learn the technicalities of playing the saxophone. It is quite something. It's no child's play. But when you look back upon it without being modest, can you say that you always had this extraordinary flair for the instrument, or was it trained to you?
That's a great question. I took piano when I was 5 for a few years, but I never took saxophone lessons until I was in college.
Got it.
So, I probably had 3 lessons
Hmm.
with people here and there, just,
Yeah.
local music store until college. So it was really something I found on my own and just kind of learned how to play. And it was an instrument that kind of led me.
Yeah.
It really, I had great inspiration. I was watching MTV and, you'd have Tina Turner sax player up there muscling the saxophone around, and you'd have Clarence Clemens, bigger than life with Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
And, I had really cool role models on sax and just in front of me as these huge rock stars. And I just thought saxophone made my voice bigger. And
Got it.
so yeah, I didn't have a lot of training. College was kind of like, whoa, okay, the art of the saxophone. I get to delve into that.
Right.
And I was pretty, I was pretty new to all that and I needed it.
I know it's quite difficult for an artist like you to possibly express this. The saxophone has been so much part of your life. You might even feel that it's a carryover from your previous life to this one. So, could you explain to us what is the state you go through when you play this particular instrument? What does it do for you?
I love the instrument. And I think with any instrument, that people play, that they spend their lives
Hmm.
playing, and I've spent more of my life playing saxophone than I
Right.
haven't. I think it becomes an extension
Got it.
of you.
Yeah.
And so for me, the saxophone is an instrument that, I can express myself on. I can whisper through it.
Right.
I can scream through it. And so for me, the process of playing it is to really allow it to become just an extension of me. That's the idea, that you can get so close to the instrument that
Hmm.
it can just allow you to emote and it be natural and just let you play what you feel, let you play what you hear. So that's always been my you know, my deal with the saxophone. Like, okay, I get to know you enough that we can be one and we
Right.
can make music together. And, hopefully it's everything that I want to say.
I would also like to understand what is it like to be an instrumentalist and a singer and a storyteller.
Early on, I remember looking for a record deal because back in those days, you
Hmm.
couldn't really make music on your own and you
Right.
couldn't really, make
Yeah.
records in
Yeah.
in your bedroom like you can now.
Hmm.
The world has changed. You really had to be, kind of gifted, like, ding, you deserve a record deal. Um, and I remember just every record label saying, well, you sing and you play sax. You really have to choose because you can't do both. You kind of have to market to people, and people won't really understand that. Um, so it was really it was a gift to meet the A&R person who was at Verve Records, Bud
Right.
Harner, who has been a part of my career since the very beginning, and he thought that it was a gift that I played saxophone and sang. He thought that it was really
Yeah.
cool and that I should be me and that I should, just let it all come out the way that I heard it coming out. And so I love that. And of course, I took his record deal, and he's been this integral part of my career. He manages me now, so I think you learn to trust people that trust you and that believe in you for what you are. I'm different than most other people, but hopefully that's what makes me successful. If if we all as artists can figure out who we are and believe in it and move forward with it, it makes us different from everyone else. And those differences can be perceived as weaknesses. I personally perceive them as strengths. So that's how I've, gone about my path.
You did mention about Verve Records. Ever since I was a little boy, I would be interested in learning about different record labels. I'd just Google them. I'd read names like Blue Note Records, Mascot, Columbia Records. But there's
Yeah.
also Verve Records that you have been associated with. And I've been very intrigued by the fact that every time I bought a cassette, it said Verve Records on the inside, on the cover of it. So there have been several cassettes that have been part of our collection, like Remembering Shakti featuring John McLaughlin and Ustad Zakir
Yeah.
Hussain. And my grandpa had a few old classics like the Oscar Peterson Trio,
Ooh,
the
that's
Antonio Carlos Jobim, and those legendary records that have been associated with Verve, right? So I believe they are a subsidiary of Universal Music Group at this point, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. Right.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about labels now, can you tell me that what the environment is like and what's the experience been like for you with Verve Records?
You know what? I absolutely loved being on Verve Records. I did three records with them, my first
Hmm.
three records
Hmm.
as an instrumentalist,
Right.
and they were incredible to me. They really, they told me, you are the new generation of jazz. You have your own sound. You don't sound like other people. We want you to run with that. We
Hmm.
want you to use who you want to produce it and who to write with. And they really gave me that creative freedom. And that's a big deal because in most genres, at most record labels, they want you to use the producer who's creating all the number one hits
Sure.
or, just kind of play the game like that. So they gave me a lot of freedom to be me and really helped me on that path. Um, so after that, I moved to Concord Records because
Right.
Verve had a real shakeup. Everyone, had kind of it was just a shakeup. Everyone left, and it's like the whole record label was going through this tumultuous spot, and the people that signed me left. So
Hmm.
I figured go to Concord, which was another incredibly historic
Correct.
record label, and wow, I think I did five or more records on Concord before I started my own record label. Pretty good for a girl records. But it's such a gift to be on record labels like that you just sit back and go, oh my gosh, all this history is, a part of these labels. And now I'm a part of that history. It feels humbling. You better make good records.
I'm sure you've made great music.
Thank you. I sure tried. I felt like
Yeah.
I had to stand up,
Right.
to be on the level of those people who had come before me that I
Right.
better not disappoint.
You've definitely set a benchmark. I'm talking to you today. So let's touch upon the aspect of performance. So how do you judge a performance when it's over in terms of your relationship with the music and the way that the audience respond to it? So how do you conclude that it was a good performance?
For me, performance is a connection, a connection between myself and my band
Right,
and the audience.
right.
So I always feel that it was a great performance first and foremost
Mm-hmm.
if I feel that connection happened. If
Got it.
me and the audience became friends and I feel like we shared, a moment in time and that, I gave as much as I could, Um, there are other ways to judge performances, did I play well? Did the song sound perfect? Those are secondary. For me, you can have, something where I screwed up a note or, someone screwed up a chord in the bridge or something. Those things are superfluous,
Yeah.
What really matters is if you connect with the people in front of you, and that's the most important thing for me. I love artists who give and connect and form a relationship with their audience. I really respect that. I think it takes courage to sing a song that's personal and sing it into people's eyes instead of, just shutting yourself off and not, emoting.
Right.
So for me, that's always my first and foremost is connecting with the people in front of me. That's it. If it's successful, they
Mm-hmm.
had a great time.
Uh, I also was wondering if you had role models. Are there certain people whose careers prompted you to say that someone's making the right choices in terms of making music? So, is there someone like that for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I looked at, early on people like the band Hart, we're
Yeah,
going into
yeah,
rock and roll.
right.
But, the band Hart, they were
Hmm.
incredibly strong women and they
Sure,
were out there rocking out and they were just as fierce as any of the men.
right.
And they were just doing their thing, singing their songs. And I think they were incredible role models.
Hmm.
I then looked to, obviously I play the saxophone. So, here I was playing saxophone in the school band
Right.
and, then watching Ann and Nancy Wilson from Hart rock out,
Right.
um, where does that, where does that all make sense in someone's career? But as a
Oh,
kid, I remember my father took me to a David Sanborn
oh
concert.
wow. Okay, incredible.
And it was like a light bulb going off. I'm watching this guy play and he was like the lead singer in a pop or rock band. His band was super cool and they had tons of energy. They were incredible musicians, but they had fun together. And David Sanborn was up there in front and he was just kind of controlling it all and at the forefront. He was the lead singer, but saxophone was his instrument.
Yeah.
And that was what carried all of that energy forward. And it made all the sense in the world to me that I could take all these bands I was listening to as a kid that were rock and roll and pop and all this energy into my saxophone and that I could be the lead singer of my band. I just had to find great people to surround me. I
Hmm.
had to find great musicians that inspired me and we could be that. So he was definitely a formative person for me looking at career, how to build a career.
Lovely. Uh, in terms of your career, you've collaborated with every possible big name in the industry, and you've made a bunch of incredible records with them. From what I've understood, you've been working with artists who are in different phases of understanding their creative self, or in terms of a vision they're trying to cast. Right? As people, each of us have a different sense of identity and a different way of connecting. Right? You do it using certain set of instruments, and of course, you're singing and that persona that you associate yourself with. But for someone who's starting out, how do you help them discover their identity initially and cast a vision in terms of reaching a certain milestone? How would you do that?
I think that's such a great question because it's something that's hard for so many
Hmm.
of us, to kind of figure out who we are
Right.
and what our voice is. Sometimes it's a lifetime journey,
Sure.
that it may change, as
Yeah.
you find yourself and change and morph throughout your life. But I really think, as a young person trying to figure out, what do I have to say as an artist and what makes me special? I really think you have to trust the music that inspires you
Hmm.
and the music that sticks with you. I remember being in school
Hmm.
in college my first year, and it was all traditional jazz,
Got
and
it.
all the classes and all the ensembles and bands were traditional jazz.
Yeah.
And the bands I was listening to were not traditional jazz. And I remember a few of the students and teachers saying, well, those people are just sellouts. They aren't playing, the music that they're supposed to be playing. They're just selling out to make money. And what I realized was uh, I was selling out if I was going to stick with traditional jazz because it wasn't the music that moved me the most. It was more contemporary based music. I was listening to rock bands and, Earth, Wind, and Fire and James Brown and David Sanborn and the Yellow Jackets. These were bands that weren't based in traditional jazz. So I made a decision that I was going to respect what I grew up with and what I heard and what moved me and go in that direction. So you find what's selling out for you and what's not. But I found my voice that way, kind of following that North Star of, you know, what I grew up with and taking that and marrying it with what I was learning and what I was being inspired by. I was inspired by traditional jazz, but it wasn't my North Star. It was something that came in and influenced me and inspired me towards learning different things. But really, my North Star was what I grew up on with soul and rock and blues and with a
Hmm.
little bit of jazz in there too.
Right. Right. Congratulations on your album Forever. It's quite a
Thank you.
breathtaking experience, and the title Forever is so evocative, right? Tell us a little bit about how it applies to your perception and the listener's perception in terms of the music.
This record is a very important one for me and a very special one for me. I had made 4 records just before this that were band records. I was
Right.
Mindi Abair and the Bone Shakers, and that was a band experience, and it
Right.
was awesome.
Yeah.
The records we made together were blues and rock, and it was just high energy, driving music. So, here's this record that I've kind of got in my head, and I was writing songs and kind of putting them on a shelf, thinking, I'm going to make this record at some point. So when it came to be that time, I just kind of knew it's time for me to make this record. I've got all these songs in my heart that I want to get out, but it's going to be a solo record. It needs to
Right.
be because it's a very personal record. So to make this album, I brought in a lot of friends, some from college, like Abraham Laboriel Jr., who I played drums with in college, and we
Was
were
it from
great
Berkeley?
friends.
Are these friends
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Berkeley? Okay.
yeah. And then new people that I had come across that I loved as well. I just brought people in, Rodney Lee, who's been in my band 20 years, and then brought in some friends from different worlds, Steve Perry from Journey and Kenny
Right.
Wayne Shepherd
Yeah.
from the blues world, and Raul Malo from a more Americana rock world. So it was fun to create and just get in the studio and, you know, portray these songs that I had written that meant so much to me. So it's a very touchy feely record from my perspective. It's a bit organic and rootsy in the sonic atmosphere. Definitely not the modern synthesizer, you know, programmed everything. It's definitely, you know, a less is more production and approach to this music because it was so personal.
It's very incredible to see all of these musicians blend in so well on this record. It's like a dream record having Steve Perry. What's he been up to? He's been like out of the limelight for a while. He's been doing his own thing. What's going on with him?
You know, I know he made a solo record a little while back,
Right,
and that
right.
was incredible.
Yeah,
But I mean, I think he's living his life, having a good
sure.
time,
Yeah,
you know, doing his thing. Lucky for me, he happened to walk in the studio and we were recording
yeah.
and just stayed. And he's such an incredible musical mind and musical talent, you know, for him to just hang out was good enough for me, you know. But he kept making suggestions and saying, you know, what if you'd sing this? What if you'd, you
Right.
know, try this? And finally, it came to the point where I just asked him, hey, I'll do it, but come in the booth and sing with me. And he said yes. And so, you know, he's on 5 songs on this album, and just what a gift to have his voice and to
True.
have his, you know, his brain, his musical sense be a part of this album. It really, it was pretty amazing to be a part of it.
This particular album opens with quite an uplifting track. It's called "Fine Wine and Vinyl." Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, about 3 years ago, my husband and I kind of took a leap of faith
Mm-hmm.
and we decided to start our own business. He's run amazing wineries, he's a
Oh,
wine guy.
oh wow.
So his whole life has been running wineries like Kendall Jackson and Mum Napa,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, these just incredible properties. So, you know, we figured we'd join forces and we'd be wine and jazz.
That's a
So
great combo.
I agree, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we wrote this song and thinking, you know, fine wine and vinyl. This is wine and jazz. This is kind of a song that's a testament to us and living and being who we are and kind of celebrating the whole notion of, you know, pairing wine and music together. So, you know, it worked for our lives. So I wanted to record this song.
If I were to look at your discography, the music that you put out over the years, there have been several records which have been artistically honest and very sincere. Is that a hard course to maintain?
I mean, I think that you have to write songs about what you know about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're going to be real. I
Right.
mean, we could all write the
Yeah.
just, you know, little pop ditties and, you know, sing about whatever. Um, it's not my thing. I'll let someone else do that. But I mean, for me, I want to write melodies that speak to me, and I want to write lyrics that speak to something that I care about. You know, I've written songs like "Pretty Good for a Girl," or "Where There's a Woman, There's a Way," or
Right.
"Be Beautiful." These are songs that mean something to me, that stand for something that I believe in. And so I think as artists we have to, you know, we have a mic in front of our face. We have a chance to talk about what we believe in and stand for things that we believe in. So yeah, for me as an artist, I want to be honest and I want to write songs that are meaningful. And you know, is it hard? I don't think so. I always think it's hard to stand in front of an audience and sing them sometimes. I wrote a song about my husband and I getting together and, kind of dating and going through our thing and getting married. And it was this, romantic love song. And the first time I sang it, I was, tearing up and, choking up singing. And so, that sucked because you're trying to get this song across
Right.
and you're sitting there like, you know.
I know what you're saying.
You always want to do it all perfectly, and
Right.
sometimes a song's so meaningful you're gonna get, a little choked up. But
Right.
I'd rather write songs that are meaningful instead of, not.
Got it. Let's talk about the present. There are so many tools for artists, for people to work independently and put things out. Uh, we have everything that takes. Some might want to put a little bit of hustle and go for it, but some might be a little lazy about it and tend to procrastinate. Not everybody is business oriented every time, right? So, but does it mean that it does not necessarily mean that someone's better or worse. We're not trying to sort of bring that kind of a difference, but some people tend to think that if I'm doing this, all of my energy goes into this, and I might not have the bandwidth after a certain point.
Yeah.
Whereas some people might say that I have a team to look after it, and I might be mentored about digital distribution and things like that, and make myself more knowledgeable about how it works, right?
Yeah.
So right now it's more of gradual development as an artist, where you just get a distributor, put your music out, and then gradually grow, compared to the record label that we spoke of earlier, which helps with the distribution aspect. What is your take towards something like this?
I mean, right now as you said, there's every tool available. You can do it all.
Yeah,
You can be your marketer, your record label,
yeah, yeah,
your tour booker. You can do it all, but it takes time, it takes effort, and there's only so much of you to go around. Um, when I grew up playing music, all you really had to think about was being a musician and writing music and, you know, figuring out, oh, how's this going to sound or how am I going to play it?
right,
Now it's, oh, wait, I have to register it with Sound Exchange or ASCAP and I have to put it out and, manufacture it and I have to market it. It's a whole different world. All these beautiful gifts that we've been given are also things that can suck our time away from art. And at the end of the day, people are going to buy your music or buy a ticket to come see you because they like your music. Music is the heart of it all. And so we can never forget that the music will drive whoever you are. The music will drive your career. Doesn't matter if you're a master marketer or if you choose to have someone else market you or if you choose to start your own record label or you choose to go with the record label. Whatever that is, just make sure that your art is strong, that it's you, that it's, that it's the driving force. So spend your energy there before you spend your energy anywhere else. All those decisions may change over your, career. I started out with major labels, but have gone to my own label because I felt like I wanted to have the bandwidth. I wanted to own my own music. I wanted to control it. I wanted to kind of be the gatekeeper of it. And it
right.
takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of business, savvy to keep that going while keeping other things going, like our wineandjazz.com business. It does take away from that just focus on pure art of coming up with music. But for me, I chose that and I knew what it was going in. So I think, focus on the art and figure out what you can take and what's important to you. And what your level of comfort is doing those jobs. Some people are like, I don't want to do any of that. I'm going to make music and you guys deal with getting it out there. And that's totally cool. So it's a personal decision.
Are you trying to imply that there is not much of a role that a record label would have in this digital era. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think major labels have lost a lot of their power because obviously anyone can do it,
Right.
and everyone and their mother are making records and putting them on Spotify and Apple and Amazon and getting their music out there like crazy. I mean, people are becoming huge stars that don't have a record deal, and making money and being very successful, not having a major label behind them. Um, but having said that, major labels have money and power and reach and a machine that can really help you. So, yes, I think it's to answer your question directly. Yes, I think their power has been lessened because it is possible to do it yourself. You just really either the music has to be incredibly, inspiring and get people to react, or just some things have to happen that you can cut through all the millions of songs that are being put out.
Mhm.
And that's a hard thing to do. It helps to have a machine behind you. So they still have a lot of power and wield a lot of influence for sure.
Got it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
You seem to have this enormous sense of continuity, uh, in terms of the saxophone being your underlying instrument, and you did kind of project it in a sense that it'll survive the future, right? Thereby revealing history of sorts. What is your own projection in terms of this? And you still have so many decades left in terms of your performance ahead of you. But if you were to think of your next life, would you still want to be a musician again, playing the saxophone or some other instrument possibly?
Wow. I have to think about that. I mean, I think there's no better way to go than to play music to people. Um, there are some times, we're in a a van traveling through the US or somewhere else that,
Yeah.
it's very unsexy that, we're sitting there with no sleep and going to the next show. And, we look at each other and think, are we nuts for doing this? For being musicians and traveling the world doing this. But we may be nuts, but it's just the most beautiful way to spend my life. I can't imagine a better thing. I get to stand up in front of people and sing them songs or play them songs that I write that mean something to me, and then connect. And connecting with people is everything, and finding that um, you know, that sameness with all of us, and getting all of our energy into one place together. That's the best gift.
Got it.
So I can't imagine a better job or a better life than being a musician. I feel like we're bringing joy to people when they need it, or we're taking their mind away from, the crazy news of the day. We're giving them kind of an escape path to feel and emote and get somewhere in their heart that maybe they weren't earlier. So yeah, I would choose music again.
Lovely. Lovely take to life, too. You're a national trustee for the Recording Academy and the co chair for the National Advocacy Committee. So, what are your own personal learnings and feelings about this powerful post that you hold? And what are some of your roles and activities as part of this?
Well, I'm not anymore,
Got it.
but I was.
Yeah.
I was a trustee
Mm-hmm.
for the Recording Academy, and the Los Angeles chapter president,
Mm-hmm.
and a governor for the Recording Academy for about 10 years. And what drew me to do that was, the fact that they really put money and energy and resources for kids growing up, to further music education, to further music in our schools, And I feel so strongly that we need that. We need the arts in our schools. Our kids need to learn music. They need to have it as a part of their curriculum, to learn. I mean, it doesn't just teach you how to play notes and how to play an instrument. It teaches you discipline and integrity and teamwork and just so many other things that make you a better functioning human being. So I really got involved for that. But, I delved in and just kept going and kept, moving, and I'm very inspired by what the Recording Academy does. It's a very, it's definitely the preemptive, uh, just organization that is for all musicians, whether you're a songwriter or a sax player or a singer, an
Right.
artist, a producer. So here we are, this is the one kind of star up in the sky that goes, okay, we care about you all. We're going to look after you. We're going to further music, historically and for the kids, and give out awards that are from your peers, that are creating alongside of you. So they're incredibly meaningful. So yeah, I very much champion what the Recording Academy is doing.
Hmm.
And even our wine and jazz business, we put out a few wines every year, with playlists that are music centric, that give money back to the Grammy Museum, which
Hmm.
is their outreach for kids and music education.
Uh, what are some of the activities that you've been doing in the academy?
Yeah, I mean, while I was, president of the LA chapter and a trustee,
Hmm.
we would do things like, figure out what were the priorities of the Recording Academy. We put together while I was there a panel of incredible women artists,
Right.
songwriters, singers, lawyers, executives, business women, of how we would meet weekly, and we would discuss how we can further women in
Right.
music. It is a hard place for women to flourish. And there have been many kind of roadblocks for a lot of us, that have impeded people becoming CEOs or people becoming the artists they want to become. And you really want to make this beautiful place for women to flourish in the music business. And what better, place than the Recording Academy to kind of lead the way
Hmm.
and help women find that path. So yeah, I was a part of that. We were also, a part of really enhancing the education aspect of kids in music, by creating just a lot of infrastructure that our states in the United States could use to put it back into schools. We also went to Washington, D.C. to lobby, with our government
Hmm.
to, to further laws for musicians, for songwriters getting paid a fair royalty rate,
Right.
for those of us that play on songs or sing or record songs that we didn't write. Usually in America, you don't get paid a cent for that.
Right.
So we really lobbied for those laws to be changed. So there's
Hmm.
a lot the Recording Academy does besides the day of the Grammys. And I was, very proud to be a part of those efforts to change laws, to, further education, and, and do a lot of things that could help us as a community.
Wonderful. You've done a great deal of work
Yeah.
during your tenure. I mean, it's incredible that you're trying to sort of try to build this entire community of artists helping each other and representing them to get to a certain level. I feel when there is a concept of community, things keep getting better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes in music, people feel at odds with each other, and
Right.
it's like, oh
Right.
no, it's I've got to win, and for me to win, I have to kind of push you down.
Right.
I don't believe that. I believe that we're all in this together as a community of musicians and writers and artists. We are absolutely stronger than we are on our own. and we can help each other. As women, we can help each other. We can be each other's champion and cheer each other on and lift each other up. So I feel really that was one of my biggest jobs as a trustee and president of the Recording Academy, to just help create and strengthen that community of artists. And I think it's a great thing to do.
Lovely. In terms of globalization of culture that we are subjected to at this point, at what point do you think that music gets spoiled when subjected to innovation, digitization, and a lot of change in instrumentation techniques? So, what is that threshold, or what point do you feel that it's getting corrupted due to certain circumstances? And what is legitimate change according to someone like you? What's the
You're,
balance?
you're speaking mostly about like technology
Right.
or
Yeah, the role of technology and music in general, right? Like it's been evolving, and right now
yeah,
we hear something entirely different, right? Which,
yeah.
yeah. So in that interpretation is what I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
It might surprise you, but I really feel like let it go. Let people create what they want.
Hmm.
I remember my father complaining to me, that he doesn't think it's music when someone sits at a computer and just, presses buttons and doesn't really play an instrument, but just, makes music by, using fake instruments and this and that. And I get it. I get the old school way of thinking. Um, but I feel like let it go. Let people create music any way they want to. Because some great records have come from it. Some really bad records have come from it too. But that's all right. Instrumentalists and songwriters and everything, we've made bad records too. I really think let music evolve. Let people have fun. Let people express themselves. Technology is going to change exponentially as we go year by year. And it's going to open different doors. So for people to uh, peek their head in and go, what about this? What if we made music this way? You know,
Yeah.
it's not all going to be what you or I think is Grammy worthy, but it is interesting and it is, pushing the boundaries, and you look at jazz artists like, Charlie Parker or Dizzy Gillespie or Miles Davis. They were definitely breaking the rules. They were doing things that people did not like. You weren't supposed to play, double time changes over jazz standards. How dare you? This is so wrong. The use of, what you're doing. Um, I applaud it. I think it's, the rock and roll way. Break the rules, try different stuff, do what's in your heart, and um, let's see where it goes. I say music is, something that we all can make from our heart. So let it be.
Got it. Speaking of rock and roll, India definitely has a stronghold in terms of a lot of rock and rollers who support the music scene. And
Yeah.
a lot of them out here on the stream are interested to know some anecdotes of your experience playing with Aerosmith.
We don't have enough time for that. I mean, that's a whole nother thing.
But yeah,
But
probably the top highlight, something that,
yeah, I know.
yeah.
You know, Aerosmith was just an experience of a lifetime.
Hmm.
And, sometimes you say yes to things and just know that it's going to be this crazy experience, and you want to be there for it. You want to live it out. And so for me, going on the road with Aerosmith was just that. I was such a fan of their music. I knew so many of their songs. I just, I wanted to soak in the rock and roll love of it all. And all those guys are ridiculous, incredible musicians. So to be
Sure.
a part of it was an incredible gift. Yeah. So they hired me and
Hmm.
basically didn't give me music, There was no rehearsal. There was no set list. I just showed up.
Insane.
And, I'm thinking, wow, I guess someone's going to tell me something,
Right.
So on my very first night uh, playing with Aerosmith, I remember, it was 5 minutes before showtime. And someone came to my dressing room door and they said, Joe Perry would like to see you in his
Okay.
dressing room.
Got it.
And I thought, okay. So I go to Joe's dressing room and he goes, I really want to thank you for being here. And we really we're looking forward to playing with you. And he goes, can I do anything to help out? Do you need anything? And I just looked at him and I went, thank you. I would love a set list. And so, yeah, a set list was produced, and I spent the next 4 minutes going
Wow.
over the set list, going, ooh, okay, what do I play on this and this? And Steven Tyler was this amazing butterfly of an artist.
Sure.
He's just his own guy. I remember about halfway through the tour, he wanted to do a song a different way. So he called me into his dressing room and so I went over and I stood at the door, and there's Steven Tyler in his dressing room, just as you'd think he would be, almost naked. I mean, nothing on except like a little, like G string, that's it. And
Got
he's
it.
just running around doing his thing. Hey, I want to talk about this song. And I just looked at him and went, hmm. And his bodyguard was standing to my side, and I just said, you tell Steven Tyler to put on some clothes, and then I'm going to come back and we can talk about the song. So 5 minutes go by and they call me again. I come back and Steven's behind this wall and he goes, okay, we're fine now. And so I go in, talk about the song. Joe Perry came in. We talked through, what we're going to do for the song differently. And then at the end of the conversation, Steven goes, and I'm naked. So, he
Insane.
just likes to have a good time. He likes
Yeah.
to, you know, uh, yeah, he's a rock and roll star. You got to give it up. But he was so much fun to be on stage with. And, he would come over and play with you and push you like, come on, sing, and he was just a very inspiring human
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. How different is your approach to music when it's attempted in films and commercial forms, different from what you do originally in terms of your original music? And what was it like working with Adam Sandler, who's my all time favorite comedian, on Sandy Wexler?
Nice. I'll go with the Adam question first.
Okay.
Adam Sandler did a tour in I think it was 95,
Hmm.
and I got the call for it and auditioned, and I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just thought, huh, Adam
Right.
Sandler is putting together a tour. I'm into that. That seems like fun. And so I, auditioned. I think there were 200 girls that showed up.
My
And
goodness.
so he chose me and two other girls to sing on his tour and for me to play sax, because he was going to do, like some Bob Marley and some Bruce Springsteen and stuff like that. I could be the sax player. Um, so from there, we toured all summer, and it was just, I have to say, it was the most fun tour I've ever been on. It was, all these incredible rock and roll guys from, it was Waddy Wachtel from Linda Ronstadt's band and Stevie Nicks and you've got the guys from Fleetwood Mac
Oh,
and,
wow.
just all these incredible, James Taylor's band members. It was kind of the who's who of the band.
Hmm.
And then I'm learning from these guys and we're playing all this music. Adam was just at this beautiful stage where he was becoming this huge, huge, huge star, but he was just a normal guy and we just had a blast. So since then, anytime he needs saxophone, he calls. So I've done a few of his records now,
Mhm.
and played for his MTV Movie Award Lifetime Achievement, and
Lovely.
done a couple of the movies. Just Go With It, I'm in, and Sandy Wexler, and it's just fun to get together. He's just a super cool guy. What you see on screen is pretty much him. He's just a goofball, but super smart, and really knows who he is, knows who his audience is. And I've learned so much from him as an artist, that you keep people around who are special to you. And you keep that family of people who can create with you and continue your work. You're not only going to have more fun, but you're going to have people around who you know that they know you, they know who you are. Nothing's going to get diluted.
Mhm.
The same guys who were on tour with us, who were doing his music back then, his music and movies, are still doing it. It's that team that he built and kept loyal to. And what an incredible, lesson to learn from him. You know, make a team, keep it around you, and make music and movies with your friends. Yeah, come on. So anytime Adam Sandler calls, I'm there.
Uh,
I forget your other question though. There was like a part one to that, wasn't there?
yeah. So how is it? How is the process of making music for movies different from the original music that you put out? How is that different?
Mostly the music I've had in movies has been my music that I just created to create.
Hmm.
I've never created something just,
Right.
ooh, this is going to go in a movie. So I've
Right.
never really had to consider that. I've played on a few tracks for movies, like on
Hmm.
Adam Sandler's movies. I've done the tracks
Hmm.
for the songs that I played in the movies.
Right.
And of course, you just have to get the feel of it, and
Right.
be what that song is. It's not like being a solo artist. You have to, create what that vibe is for that scene.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the only difference. But for me, creating stuff, I've usually just created my own stuff, and sometimes it gets in a movie, and that's pretty cool. My song "Every Time" was in the Robin Williams
Oh wow.
and Mandy Moore movie long ago, and that was a pretty cool thing.
Lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
So, in the interest of time, we're going to get into the last segment, which is the rapid fire segment. It's the fun segment, fun part of the interview. I'm going to be giving you very easy questions. You don't have to think a lot about, and you can be spontaneous with your answers too.
Okay.
First question for you, Mindy. What
Okay.
is that one song that always makes you cry?
Ooh, makes me cry. Wow. Probably the Whitney Houston song. Well,
Mhm.
Dolly Parton wrote it. I Will Always Love You.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a wonderful
But Whitney
song.
Houston kind of
Yeah,
made it the hit, and my friend Kirk Whalum played sax on it, and his sax solo just makes me want to cry. It's just so beautiful.
got it. On the contrary, what is your favorite guilty pleasure song?
One of my favorite songs of all time is I Want You to Want Me, Cheap Trick. And I think that's like
Good choice.
sheer joy.
Right.
I Want You to Want Me is a pretty perfect song for who I am.
What are the top five artists or bands that you're listening to right now at this point? Like,
Hmm.
what are the new artists that you're listening to?
I don't know that there's a lot of new in there, but I mean, on my usual playlist right now, it's pretty old. Um, we're going Dave Matthews Band. We're going Coldplay. Um, Who else? Miles Davis. I mean, you can't go wrong with Miles Davis. Sly and the Family Stone has been playing a lot in our house lately. A lot
Hmm.
of Sly and the Family Stone. Um, and as far as new artists, Marcus King. I'm totally digging Marcus King. I think he's awesome. I think his music's just super cool. Um, yeah. Is that five? Ray
Yeah.
LaMontagne. Can't go wrong with Ray.
Right.
I like
Right.
him too.
Great. Great. Great choice. What's your favorite cuisine?
Indian.
Oh, yeah.
It's
What is it?
totally Indian. That's my favorite. So, yeah, Indian by far. I could eat Indian food every single day.
What's your favorite Indian dish? What do you enjoy the most?
I love naan bread. I could live on naan bread. Little mint chutney on there, I'm good. But my usual order is chana masala and palak paneer and chicken curry. I like butter chicken too.
Lovely.
A little vindaloo. I'm not mad at vindaloo. See, I'm totally food driven.
Got it. Likewise, I love food too.
Papadon, I would eat that. We're going on the blues cruise
Mhm.
in about a week, and normally some of the chefs are Indian. That's what I eat the whole week. I don't even touch any of the rest of the food. There's like a little Indian aisle, and that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I have one last question for you. This is a custom in all of my interviews, and all of my guests have different perspectives to this question. So here's the question. Down in the distant horizon, what would you want to be remembered as?
I would like to be remembered as someone who left the world a better place than I found it. And I think we can all do that in our own way. My way is music, and and personally. But you hope that you're a good human being. You hope that you are remembered as someone who is loving and caring and respectful to those around. And with music, I hope that I can uplift people and make their lives a little more joyous and leave the world a little better than I found it, hopefully.
Wonderful. This interview will additionally be aired on Big FM Shillong and Aizol, two incredible radio stations that cater to English music. And like I mentioned earlier, it'll also be part of my program Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera, which will be streaming live on every possible platform from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatnot. So I'll be sure to share the link once it's out, and you can share it with your fans. And
Yeah.
as we continue to celebrate a dozen marvelous musical pieces that you have for us, the showmanship that you have displayed in terms of your abilities with the saxophone as an instrument and your vocal abilities, and of course, the songwriting plays a very rich and intense life that all of us sort of await. Thanks so much for tuning in, taking time out. It's been a great blessing and a privilege. Thank you. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you
Yeah.
for really thoughtful questions. It's crazy.
I'm glad. I'm glad you had found. You had a lot of fun, and I'd love to sort of host you in India. Like, please do hit me up. I'd be happy to show you around. And since both of us are foodies, I'd love to show you some South Indian food as well.
Okay, I need to know. You need to open my world, please.
For sure.
Take you up on that.
For sure. Thanks once again, Mindy. Do stay in touch.
Thank you.
All right then. Bye bye.
Bye.